never meet your heroes? Well, I did. And it was awesome.
So I had the chance to play Square Enix's Avengers beta this weekend. Shout out to my brother for pre-ordering the game and letting me try his beta out. To be completely honest, I haven't really been looking forward to or that interested in the Avengers game. Early trailers just didn't look that great to me, and I'm not really interested in the Destiny-style games-as-service type of games like Avengers was being described as. But I still wanted to give the beta a shot since I had it available. So, how was it? Well, it's better than I was expecting, but it still has some issues. Some issues can be fixed with patching, but other issues are things that I just don't like with the core design of the game. So, without further ado, let's dive in. Here's what I thought of the Avengers PS4 beta, what I liked, what I hope they improve, and what I think just doesn't work. So the closed beta actually offered quite a bit of content. I was actually surprised just how much they offered. It gave players a demo including 2 full story missions from the game as well as 20 side missions that you could play online with a full party of friends or NPC players. It was honestly pretty cool of Crystal Dynamics and Square Enix to give out literally hours of content as a demo. Now, only players who pre-ordered the game were given access to the demo, so it's not like anyone's really saving on a purchase, but still. Anyways, the demo starts off with the San Francisco Bridge level that was shown in the original trailer for the game. It introduces you to the game's simple mechanics and establishes the main story. The entire sequence is really linear and scripted, and honestly gives an example of what the rest of the demo was like too. You jump to different members of the Avengers, giving you a quick taste of what their abilities are and what they are like in combat. During this sequence, you play as Thor, Hulk, Iron Man, Captain America, and Black Widow. Every character has the same combo and command inputs, so you don't really need to relearn how they all play. That said, they all have their own unique abilities and feels. Thor can throw his hammer around, dealing heavy range damage. Hulk can use a rage mode to refill health. Black Widow can use a grapple hook to pull herself in close to enemies. Iron Man can fly around. And Captain America can block and throw his shield around. Things like that give a bit more variety to gameplay. In the first mission, you're introduced to combat, flying with Iron Man, climbing with Hulk, scripted sequences with QuickTime events, and even a boss fight against Taskmaster. The first segment is incredibly scripted. Combat feels pretty good though. It reminds me of the Batman Arkham games or Spider-Man in terms of melee combat, with Square giving you a light, fast attack and Triangle giving you a heavy attack, with different special abilities that you can use tied to cooldowns. I do feel like the cooldowns are way too long though, for some characters at least. Like when I was playing as Black Widow, I felt like they replenished relatively quickly and felt okay. But Hulk's took for fucking ever to recharge. As far as the first mission is concerned, I think playing as Captain America was my favorite, though everybody had things I liked and disliked about them. The second mission introduces you to Kamala Khan, the new Ms. Marvel. I am a pretty big comic book guy, but I know next to nothing about Kamala. From what I've gathered, she's basically an Avengers otaku who gets powers from the Terrigen Mist released by Black Bolt of the Inhumans. Her abilities are that she can basically stretch and grow her body similarly to Mr. Fantastic. As much as I would have liked to see Carol's Ms. Marvel in the game, I'm cool with Kamala in it. And I'm honestly surprised Carol isn't in the game as Captain Marvel, but it will most likely be DLC. Anyways, this mission gives you a much more in-depth look of how the characters play in terms of combat. It's worth noting I started playing the game on Brutal difficulty, which is the hardest difficulty in the game. I usually play games on the hardest difficulties, and Avengers is definitely a challenging game on Brutal. I actually had to drop it down to the second hardest difficulty because the game is unfairly difficult at times. Either the game is not balanced to be played on Brutal, or Brutal is designed to be played on repeat playthroughs with a leveled up and geared up character. but since I was trying to get through the demo to talk about it in this video, I didn't want to fuck around with struggling through a frustratingly hard game mode. And in my opinion, it kind of shows some cracks in the general combat of the game as well. Combat is very simplistic, with the mentioned light attack, heavy attack, and special moves, as well as a dodge and ranged attack. Some characters have a parry or block as well. Very often in this game, you'll get swarmed and surrounded by enemies that reduce your health to nothing in seconds. Meanwhile, your attacks seem to do nothing against them. Enemies definitely suffer from sponginess, and since your abilities are tied to such long cooldowns, fights just feel frustrating and stretched out sometimes. Admittedly, I'm not the biggest fan of the Arkham Spider-Man Mad Max style of combat. I prefer combat like in Devil May Cry or hack and slash style where aggressive behavior rewards you more than just running around and parrying. I'm not very good at a parrying type combat system, but if you are a fan of the Arkham style of combat, you'll probably enjoy this game more than me. In the single player portion, it doesn't really seem like team play is emphasized either, which is disappointing. At least in the beta, it didn't have me fighting alongside my fellow Avengers, there weren't any team combos or team specials. It really feels less of a team thing, and I hope the actual full game has missions with actual team fighting and team special moves. Something similar to the old Marvel Ultimate Alliance would have been sick. Unfortunately, going off of the side missions, which is what the multiplayer component will consist of, I don't think team play will be that emphasized at all. There aren't any team combos, no collaboration specials, even if you fight alongside other heroes. They can help pick you up if you are knocked out, but end of the day, you're really all just fighting your own fights alongside one another, not really collaborating with one another. Avengers is being marketed as an RPG loot kind of game. I think the RPG system works as far as leveling up a character, unlocking new abilities, and adding to your moveset. It's pretty par for the course in terms of what I would expect from a superhero game. The loot aspect of it doesn't work for me though. The loot is just so boring. It doesn't change your appearance, it doesn't look different in your inventory screen, and levels are incredibly linear. So there is little incentive to look for new armor pieces when exploring and looking for chests just isn't fun. Stat changes are marginal, and again, it doesn't change your appearance. Why bother with loot at all? I'd honestly prefer if they scrapped the loot entirely and just allocated stat boosts and changes to leveling up, and used the chests to unlock skins, comic books, and other collectibles. Honestly, the linearity of the game hurts the game as well, in my opinion. I'm not opposed to linear games at all, and in fact, I think making a game open world hurts a lot of games. And I'm not saying Avengers should be open world, but I think that the individual missions should open up to provide the player more options, more ways to tackle it, and give incentive to explore and look for secrets and collectibles. Because as it is now, I really wasn't at all interested in secret hunting through these missions. Avengers also commits the capital sin of the walkie-talkie segments. I hate these things. What is the point of having me play as Banner during this part? Why slow down my movement when going through here? Why do I have to interact with these things, or press a button to start a conversation with Banner here? These things should be presented in cutscenes, so that I can skip them if I want to. I would much rather watch Banner walk through the woods in a cutscene here than play through it myself. It doesn't provide me anything, it just gives me a boring set piece that I can't skip on repeat playthroughs and annoys the fuck out of me. The dialogue could easily happen while actual gameplay is happening. Game devs, please stop doing this. Stop restricting my gameplay for your set pieces, and stop putting me in boring, unskippable walkie-talkie segments when a skippable cutscene can convey the same effect. Please. Now, onto some issues with the game that I hope gets patched out. First off, there are some performance issues. There is frame stutter and slowdown. I've had the sound glitch out on me. The game froze on me once. My brother had multiple freezes and even crashes to the point where he had to replay the same side mission about 5 times because it kept freezing towards the end. Hopefully they can fix these issues for the final release so there is no bugs, frame dips, freezes, or crashes. Also, I'm not quite sold on the character models. Some characters look okay, some look really good, but others are just kind of ugly. They're not as bad as they were in the reveal trailer, they look better in-game and in motion, and honestly, this is an issue I have with most realistic-looking games these days. Characters just look ugly. Maybe it's because real people are ugly, I don't know. But a stylized art direction would have gone a long way. They don't have to go full cel-shaded, but something like Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 looks better in my opinion. I'm also really worried about the potential for microtransaction abuse in this game. There are several unlockable costumes you can get for each character, and there's an in-game currency. If they keep this currency to strictly being earned from playing missions, it'll be fine. But if they start charging people real money for this currency, I can see them abusing players for skins and loot with better stats. The framework for it is already in the game, and I hope to God they don't go the microtransaction route. The last thing I want to discuss is some of the bullshit surrounding this game. Hawkeye being revealed as DLC before the game is even out is bullshit. If he's finished, put him in the game at launch. At the very least, he better be a free DLC and not paid, because marketing paid DLC before the game is even out is scummy. Also, keeping Spider-Man and other content behind an exclusivity wall for PlayStation is bullshit. It's not cool to people who play on PC or Xbox. They're stuck with an inferior product with less content, and it really isn't cool. Everyone should be able to get the same experience on every platform. They're all paying the same price for the game. Shame on either Sony, Square Enix, or Crystal Dynamics, whoever's decision it was to lock content behind platform exclusivity. They should have made the game a console exclusive if they wanted to do that, instead of selling an inferior product on other platforms for the same price. Additionally, as somebody who doesn't pay for PlayStation Plus and doesn't play online on PlayStation, I can't help but think the single player will get kind of old after a while. I might have considered getting it for PC to play online, but since there will be characters and content exclusive to PlayStation, I no longer feel compelled to get it on PC. And I'm sure other players are now faced with the decision of being able to play online for free on PC or missing out on playing as Spider-Man. It's bullshit, and honestly, it shouldn't have to come down to that. Honestly, I'm not at the I need to buy this stage with the game in general, but I'm even less inclined to get it on a console other than PlayStation now. So to conclude, Avengers was better than I was expecting, but I'm still not completely sold on it. It suffers from some performance issues, some janky combat, and a loot system that is boring, underwhelming, and quite frankly not needed or wanted. I would have liked to see more team combos and less linearity to the level design. I heavily disagree with the platform exclusivity as far as content goes, and I hope there are no microtransactions. Did you have a chance to play the Avengers demo? If so, what did you think? Are you looking forward to the game in general? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe.
Guess AIM took over the place. Still think Mr. Stark's here? I could head through the vents and take a look. Yeah, that works. AIM's everywhere. You distract them. I'll find a way in.